Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How are y'all doing? How are y'all doing? How has y'all Thursday been going? How has y'all Thursday been going? Whew. Today is the last day of our Become Willing to Change series. Today's the last day. And I must say, this series has been good to me, okay? It has really been good to me. Um, mm, one piece here. It has been good to me, okay? It says, so as y'all jump on, like my live, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because I have some things coming up and I would love for you all to be the first ones to know what it is that I got going on, okay? So y'all should like and subscribe. And then also share this video to the last 5 people that you just text because you never know who may need what it is that I have to say. So let's share. Let us share. Um so on day 1 of talking about become willing to change, we talked about you recognize that without change there can be no progress. Day 2, you must be willing to pay the price for change. Day 3, change must happen inside you before it can happen around you. Y'all hear that? Change must happen inside of you. You may be praying and asking God to change somebody else, and the whole time it's you that needs to change. So, day 4, become willing to change, coming from Colossians 1st chapter 10th verse. You will grow as you learn to know God better and better. And that is so true, y'all. And that is so true. To grow, you must dedicate yourself to the process. I feel like this is about to be all up in our business already. Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Already, y'all. Already. It's about to be all up in our business because we be dedicated to the process. A lot of times, y'all know we go through things and we don't want to go through the process. We just want it. Especially how life is now. We live in a microwave society where we want things right now. Right now, right now, right now. But going through the process, you can't always get it right now. Okay? You got to go through the process and you got to learn some things and you got to change about yourself. So let's go ahead and see what they're talking about, okay? To grow, you must dedicate yourself to the process. Whether it's in your career, your marriage, your ministry, or your walk with God. Once you dedicate yourself to growth and development and a lifestyle of planned improvement, it becomes normal to you. And you realize when you're not making progress, something is missing. It becomes reputed that the Polish American classical pianist Arthur Rubinstein refused to listen to recordings of his playing, even only a month afterwards, even a few months afterwards, he was unhappy with what he heard. Why? Because he had changed and improved, but his recordings had not. Hmm. Stop and think about the non negotiables in your life. What are you willing to live and die for? Wasn't expecting it to get like that, okay? Write down what you want to hold on to at any cost and fully explain why. After you have done that, everything else should be open to change. Here is how Paul prayed for the Christians in the Colossian church. We ask God to give you complete knowledge of his will and spiritual wisdom and understanding. Then the way you live will always honor and please the Lord, and your lives will produce every kind of good fruit. All the while, all the while you will grow as you learn to know God better and better. We also pray that you will be strengthened with all his glorious power, so you will have all the endurance and patience you need. May you be filled with joy, always thanking the Father. He has enabled you to share in the inheritance that belongs to his people who live in the light. Y'all, that's a good prayer. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to write down that prayer. That's going to be a prayer that I pray, okay, over me and my family, okay? That's going to be a prayer that I pray. Because to pray and ask God to give you complete knowledge of his will. That way we will always be in the will of God. To live a life always in the will of God, y'all. Asking him for spiritual wisdom and understanding. Because y'all know we do a lot of things in life, and sometimes you don't have understanding of what it is that what we're going through. I think that's why we don't like to go through the process. That's why we don't like to change, because it's the unknown that we're afraid of. Because I know for me, I was afraid. I was afraid. When I lost my son, that's losing my son and going through, well, I'm still going through the process. And going through the process is very unfamiliar territory. I mean, I've lost, family members. I've lost my dad. I lost my dad at an early age. I lost grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. But losing a child and having to go through that change and accept the fact that my child is gone and that I have to live and go through life without him. That was hard for me in the beginning. It was hard for me to accept that now I have to go through life without my oldest child, That was hard. But once I prayed and gave all of that emotion to God, it became easier and easier for me, because I hated feeling like that. Like, if you know me, I'm a happy-go-lucky person. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. I'm always smiling. And when this happened, like, I thought I would never smile again. I thought I would never have joy again. Like, I just thought life was over. Even though I was trusting God, prior to it happening, when it happened, and continuing to trust Him as I go through it, I still didn't think that life would go on, but it did. After I started, I had to, it's like, I had no other choice but to go through the process, if y'all get it. Like, because I hated feeling sad. Like, because I grieve so differently. And I don't want to hold on to the anger. Like, in the beginning, I did. But God showed me that I needed to release the anger. And I did. And since then, I've learned that anytime somebody wrongs me, I immediately forgive them, because I cannot hold on to unforgiveness, because me and the Lord got plans, and I can't afford for Him not to be hearing me, because I choose not to hold on and hold grudges and not forgive my brothers and my sisters. Okay. So I have learned to forgive early on. And so I can forgive. I'm not saying it's always easy, but I do it. And I do it wholeheartedly. I do it wholeheartedly because I want it off of me. Like, I want no parts of it. Like, I don't want the hurt. I don't want the, like, you know how somebody can come in your presence and they've done you wrong, and somebody mention their name, and all of a sudden your face change, you start getting these feelings in the pit of your stomach. Like, it just changed your whole vibe. I didn't like that. So I gave all that to God. I literally live a life of giving God everything. Oh, I gotta sneeze. I live a life of giving Him everything, because there is no way that I could function and be able to come on here and talk to y'all and talk about my story, parts of it, all of it, and smile. There's no way that I will be able to do it if I didn't give it all over to God. And in order for me to get to where I am, God took me on a process. Did I want the process? No, I didn't, because I tell you, I wanted to stay angry. I wanted to stay angry. And then after a while, I was like, I get tired of crying. I get tired of crying. I get tired of sulking. I get tired of sitting in one spot. I got tired of not feeling like myself. It's like I got tired. And sometimes in the grief process, I know people, because I grieve differently, I know some people hold on to the pain and the guilt and everything, but I got tired. And I made the decision that I was ready for change. And I made the decision that the way I grieve wasn't necessarily going to look like your way of grieving. Because if you've ever lost someone, and if somebody can relate to you, they will tell you how they went through it and how they felt while going through it. And they would try to put their feelings and their emotions on you and try to make you feel like that's how you're going to feel too. Because I had that. I had people coming to me telling me, "Oh, you ain't break down yet. Oh, now mind you, I did break down, but my breakdown just wasn't what everybody expected. When I tell y'all the way I grieve is very different. It's all God. I can't explain the way I grieve because a lot of people don't understand. Like s- people don't know how to take me because I'm not out here boohoo crying every time I talk about my son. And it's because God has given me peace and God holds me in his hands and he has given me the strength that I can't explain. But I know if I ever separate myself from God, if I ever stop giving him all my feelings, because I'm not saying that even though I'm not crying and all that, I'm not saying that I don't have my moments because I still do have moments where the one day I ain't bring no water in here. Um, excuse me. There are times when I do think about my son and I want my son back. Like that was Siri, I'm not talking to you. There are times when I want him back, but I know that he's not coming back. And I still cry during those times. I might see something on social media like because my son, our oldest son and our youngest daughter are 13 years apart. So seeing children with that time frame relationship, like that's a tug at my heart. That's a tug at my heart. And I think about my son and how he was with his sister because she was 5 when he passed away. Then I think about the baby because him and the baby they were 15 years apart and 16, 16 years apart. The baby and him, they were 16 years apart and the baby was 2 when he passed away. And I just think that, and the baby, like the baby is a boy too, and our oldest was a son. And I loved their bond. I'm not saying I didn't love our daughter bond because they like that was her best friend. But the baby, I don't know, they had a different kind of relationship. And, but they loved each other, and um I just think that our youngest would never fully get to know his big brother, because he was so young. He remembers him. He remembers him and we keep his name alive. There's pictures. I consistently, show him pictures, so he'll remember his big brother. If he see the picture, he knows it. We still have, items of his around the house. They still consider their bathroom. They call it their brother. They're like, Jaden's bath. I'm going to Jaden's bathroom. They still call this bathroom his bathroom. But I made the decision in that aspect with my grief to change. And I made the decision that I wasn't going to let people put their emotions on me. And I tell people when I speak to people, I always tell them people will try to put their emotions and their hurt on you. And don't let them do that. Don't let nobody tell you how fast you have to grieve or all right, it's time's up. All right, you shouldn't still be crying. I'm like, there's no time limit on grief. And don't let nobody tell you how to grieve because everybody grieve different. And I learned that in my process because I grieve differently. Like I remember I had to tell because of how God got me, I remember talking to my mom one day and um she was like, I know you feeling bad and because I'm feeling bad. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And she was like, yes, you are. And I was like, No, I'm not. I was like, I have my moments, but I'm like, right now, in this very moment, I feel fine. I don't think people understand the power of prayer. The power of prayer. I don't know how we got over here, but we're here. The power of prayer. When I tell y'all, I gave everything to God, I gave everything to Him. When we lose a loved one, our heart breaks. Your heart hurt. You feel like you can't go on. Some people feel like they want to die. Like it's a lot. So imagine losing a child. My heart felt like it was I don't know, it was broken. I felt like somebody pulled it out my chest. I feel like it was in my stomach. Like it's just so many emotions that I felt. But I remember I went to a conference. Yes. I went to a conference of prophetess Tiffany Montgomery. She has a millions conference that she has. And I went to that conference like a couple months. It was a few months after my son passed away. My son passed away December 22nd, December 28th, 2022. And I went to her conference, I think it was May of 2023, and it was in Texas. And I went to her conference and I wrote the first day of the conference. It was that Friday. I wrote at the top of my notebook, God heal my broken heart. Sunday. By the time I got back to South Carolina, God healed my broken heart. Because I was ready for change. I was ready for change. I was tired of my heart hurting. And so I prayed and asked God to heal my broken heart. And He healed it. He healed my broken heart. So with that, with that, with me forgiving, with me giving every pain, every moment, everything. I don't care how little it is. I give it to the Lord. Everything. Everything. And that was the first change that I had to go through. I had to go through a healing process after I lost my son. And God took me through that for a year. All of 2023 was me healing from losing my child. I'm just coming up with this, y'all. I got to write this down because this, I got to write this down because, yeah, Lord, I have to write this down because 2023 was my healing process. "2024 was the process of me beginning to walk in my purpose." Yeah, I'm having this revelation. Like I knew these things, but for it to actually click right now, I have to write these things down. So what it is, the 17th that I had this revelation. I write down all revelations that the Lord gave me. That was my healing process. 2024 was the beginning of my walk. Because I chose to heal, because I chose to be obedient and trust the process. I had to dedicate myself to the process. Didn't even realize that's what I was doing. I had to dedicate myself to the healing process in 2023 so that I can walk into my purpose in 2024, so that I can talk to you all. And then God started opening up opportunities for me. Y'all, what is stopping you from dedicating yourself to the process? I would suggest that you spend some time in prayer. Spend time in prayer. And ask God for help. Ask God for help. Give him all your emotions. Give him everything that you're thinking. Give him everything. Ask him everything. Whatever it is that you're unsure of. If you want to know why he took your child or why he took your loved one, ask that question. He'll answer you because he answered me. Ask God to heal your broken heart. Trust the process. One of my mentors used to talk about this all the time. Trust the process. Trust the process. I'm a network marketer. And when she would tell me to trust the process, it's like it just wouldn't click. It wouldn't click in my mind what she meant by trust the process. Maybe I wasn't supposed to trust the process in that. Maybe I was supposed to trust the process that was the start. She was preparing me. She was helping me on my journey. She was helping me to learn through network marketing to trust the process. Mm, 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 mm. That way, when I lost my son and God started taking me on the process, I fully trust the process. Y'all, I can be on here all day with how I feel right now. Like, because I'm having a revelation, but it's my time. To grow, you must dedicate yourself to the process. Excuse me. Because I dedicated myself to the process, I walked into my purpose. Look over your life. See if you have been battling with yourself. Because I'm not saying that the process was easy just because I trusted the process. Because I'm still going to the process. Because it's different levels to this. Because now I'm in another part of the process. And in that part of the process, I'm battling against myself. You hear me? I'm battling against myself. I'm battling myself against the enemy because the enemy is trying to make me feel comfortable where I'm at. And I talk to my kids about being mediocre. And the enemy is trying to make me stay mediocre because he knows I have a message. He knows that I have a message that the Lord wants me to get out, and he don't want me to get it out. Devil, this is your eviction notice. This is your eviction notice today. I'm going forward and do what thus says the Lord. You will not distract me anymore. I won't be procrastinating anymore. You won't talk me out of doing what God told me to do. What? He done brought me thus far. He already showed himself. He already showed himself. He already showed me what he can do. I have to stand on what I know he can do and what he's gonna do. Because what God says cannot return to him void. Do y'all hear me? What God says cannot return to him void. So what he already told me is going to come to pass. But the enemy has been distracting me for 3 weeks. He has been distracting me for 3 weeks because he knows I got a message and I'm going to get that message out. You hear me? I'm going to get that message out. So today, April 17th at 7:11, the enemy, I want you to understand. I want you to look me in my eyes, and I want you to know that this is your eviction notice. And I'm going to stand on the word of God, and I'm going to stand on his promises, and I'm going to go forth and do what he called me to do. And I'm going to go and tell my story through my ministry, Grieving Gracefully, and I'm going to continue to promote my book, my grief journal that God gave me to write to help people who are going through grief. Oh my God. Y'all, this prayer that Paul said to the Colossians church, I'm going to say it again, and then we're going to end with this. We ask God to give you complete knowledge of His will and spiritual wisdom and understanding. Then the way you live will always honor and please the Lord, and your lives will produce every kind of good fruit. All the while, you will grow as you learn to know God better and better. We also pray that you will be strengthened with all His glorious power, so you will have all the endurance and patience you need. May you be filled with joy, always thanking the Father. He has enabled you to share in the inheritance that belongs to His people who live in the light. Amen. And that is Colossians 1st chapter 9th through the 12th verse. Y'all write that down and y'all say that in your prayer, because I'm going to be saying it in mine. I pray that you all were blessed by today's daily devotion, because your girl was blessed, okay? Your girl was blessed. I had some revelations that I pray that help you a little bit on your journey. To grow, you must dedicate yourself to the process. I pray you all have an amazing night on purpose. I will see you all back here tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our daily devotional. See y'all later. Bye-bye.